Okay, let's start. Dear ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to my lecture. It is devoted to reputation management. Today I will try to explain what the reputation is as a financial asset. We do understand it is important. I'll try to explain and provide some academic formula to how it is important to us. What are the major components of it, how we could use it, and the idea is basically how did I come up to this idea, having spent 15 years in corporate communications and PR, and later figuring out the idea of reputation versus image and brand. This is a pretty new idea. I searched for a few books on the internet, on Harvard School, and the formula I would like to share with you today basically provides, from my point of view, a universal instrument to measuring and using reputation for increasing your assets value. You can measure it, you can understand it. Once you understand it, you can work with it. And this works, the reason why I try to do this in English, because I've issued 2 books myself earlier on PR, which was in 2009, called Kazakhstan PR Without Prejudices, which suddenly has become a top seller, a bestseller in Kazakhstan. For 3 weeks I've been sold more than Murakami and Coelho, which is a very good definition that people liked it. And 2 years ago, in 2013, I issued another book which was already devoted to the next idea, or let's say the next level, which is the reputation management versus public relations, so widely spread among the companies as an idea. So everybody knows what PR is, how it's good, and everybody talks about what? Talking about the PR. Everybody talks about image. And that's how I used to spend working in different areas. I used to be director of PR and corporate communications. For 5 years, I've been working in one of the largest oil and gas fields in Kazakhstan. It's a globally large oil and gas field with 4 international oil companies working there. It was Chevron, Eni, British Gas, and Lukoil. And what we've been encountering, basically, the philosophy was specific. I mean, it's a pretty environmentally sensitive area. So the whole PR was very important to the companies. I was trained on PR. And all the time you talk about PR, you talk about the image. And that's where the first problems lie in. Later I joined and worked for 5 years for the leading telecom company, which is called KSL. It's a telecenters company, as you know. And I encountered, there is really a problem that all the companies encounter once they speak about their image. What image is? Why is it important? Of course, everybody would understand. Yeah, it is important. Definitely, it is important, because what does it do? It attracts us new customers. It holds us to the current customers, making them being aware of our brand, and etc., etc. So everybody wants a good image. Image is not only something that helps you to sell, it also keeps best employees with the company. It also attracts the best suppliers. So there are certainly a lot of benefits you would do. Once you have, now I'm working as a HR director at the largest bank in Kazakhstan, which is the Kazkommer's Bank. So I also enjoy this well-known brand, so you can involve good quality workforce. But the problem is, again, how well you can attract and keep it. What's the problem with the image? And then let's look at this way. There are 2 sides of our relations with customers. Basically, that's simple. That's the company you work for, and that's your customer. Once we talk about image, we talk about communication, we talk about producing an image from company upon your customers. And that's the general direction of your communication. So what do you do? Talking about the image, what usually you encounter, the companies try to hire a good PR manager, a good PR agency to develop this good image. So this is the vector when you talk about image. You are producing a good image. And the problem is, basically, then when you look at the communication this way, you always, or let's say the management or the company or the producer, definitely what does it do? It tries to produce the best image, which not in fact would resemble the current status of your service, and not necessarily something that all your employers or the front-facing employees would share. And producing a very good image, your customer, supplier, or whoever would come, there is a very likely event that it doesn't experience what you promised. Then the problem starts. So what marketing is, and that was another idea I came up to, marketing is not something trying to sell, but it's rather about managing the expectations. How well you can manage the expectation of your customers and stakeholders, that's where you produce, exceed expectations or fall below them. Another idea, and that's where we come to reputation. If you talk about reputation, what is the vector or the direction versus image, you would think? Because it's definitely something that comes from your customers to your company. Among these two similar, at one hand, ideas, what's more valuable and more important? Something you want to project or something you really enjoy? I think the answer is pretty clear. Reputation is something that really matters. The idea of reputation is only development from how I can judge from the current state of management theory. It's only at the start, and that's why I wanted to share this idea in English in order to bring it and check it how it works internationally. Because it's really something multicultural. I mean, it works in any cultural idea. It's the same in all the world. So the reputation, then the next question lies within, okay, reputation is important, but what's the reputation, how you can work with it, how you can measure it? This is something you always would like to convince your boss, you something would like to talk to your finance guys, what matters, and etc. So I used to read for a few years lectures in our universities, and at one moment, basically, talking about reputation and how you work with it, and thinking about what comes within the reputation. There are a few categories that we could speak. Is basically, here I would like to share this new diagram on reputation management theory, let's say. So reputation is basically in the form of a diagram. Could be looking like trust versus time. Simple. The reputation is a real asset you start gaining through building up contact first and building up trust with your stakeholders. Trust comes with time. It's an experiential asset, whereas the reputation is something coming with time, bigger, lower. And it is a very simple measurement, understandable in any culture that I would say. There is a very simple measure to reputation that I would further explain. How does it work? Really, is it true and countable? I would like to share this was a very sad event 3 years ago, I think, right? We have an air company called Scott. If you look at its asset value before this deadly incident when the plane crashed with over a dozen people, passengers on board, what do you think would be the cost of this company prior and post the deadly crash? Would it be different? Definitely. And until now, is it still something you consider if you imagine yourself as an investor buying this Scott company, tracking its record on safety? Why? Because this is something they've blown up their trust from passengers, from customers. And this is something you would consider buying. So does the reputation of a reliable air carrier affects the company? So the difference between the current cost of the company prior and post the deadly crash, what kind of cost is it? It's basically the reputation cost. Reputation is something really what you keep your loyal customers with, and as a Pareto principle, 80% of your income usually comes from your loyal customers. It's about, and I'm always hearing, okay, these are big companies. I'm working for a bank. There are a few people working for a bank here. There are a few people for finance, from finance sector. Does the reputation matter to the bank?
Yes.
Why? Exactly.
It depends on your deposit base.
Exactly. But people keeping the deposits in the bank, if it's being, do they consider the trust which comes through time? Do you count the reputation of a bank? I used to work for HSBC before. The interest rate upon the deposits in each HSBC bank are the lowest on the market. The recent decision by Swiss banks basically brought that the interest rate is below zero. Why do people bring still money there? They want to have them there because they trust the safety of their own currency. Insurance companies, is the reputation something they would value versus image? Of course. Production companies. So the reputation is something comes in. Does it cost? Does it worth building up? If the bank would lose its reputation, does it affect their business? Basically, for HSBC, upon the 5 filters they've had before on cost-income ratio and etc., they've, since some 2-3 years ago, they've introduced the 6th filter, which was called the reputation filter. Whereas it comes first. So despite, I mean, okay, although reputation is something, whether we want it or not, is coming into the systems. The financial sector is doing that on their own. The few others may be doing that the same. But to come to some, let's say, academic grounding to what reputation is, basically trying to explain how it works, what involves in the reputation, are 2 simple things: the trust and time that you want to build, and it's being measured through the value. Does it refer only to the big companies? In May, I was invited by Alma University to read the DBA program in Astana. And the listeners were basically the medium-sized companies. They said, okay, Kuat, you are talking about the reputation, but it's only mostly maybe the banks, maybe somebody. And then we tried to do, okay, another lady, she was the president of the largest insurance company, which was about 600 workers working for it. And I said, okay, medical insurance. Is the reputation important to you in your clinics that you are being that you provide services from? Just definitely. I have a doctor. I had a case once he didn't properly maybe wash his hands and the infection went into the patient. Does it affect your reputation of the organization? Definitely. That's the main asset of a medical company. Another lady was the owner of a few restaurants network in Semipalatinsk. I asked her as well, okay, how many people are we? About 200 people. Does the reputation matter for your restaurant? What was the answer? She said, that's basically the main thing. I have a cook. If he does something wrong and somebody goes poisoned or something, my reputation is being managed. My best customers would ignore me. Is the reputation a financial asset? It is a financial asset. It is being measured simply and understandably through money. As Winston Churchill once said, okay, we cost as much as people can lend us. Basically, that's the point. Does it matter only to big organizations, companies, and small businesses? Does it matter to the countries? Definitely. The reputation is an asset for a company. Does it matter for a person? Definitely. So, I hope once I've done this lecture in English, I hope if the others who would send, I would say my email at the end, and if we could share the ideas about how it works, that would be really grateful if we talk. That's not through the Kazakhstan experience. And Kazakhstan, okay, maybe to many people internationally that would sound really weird. That okay, for me the good idea, if it works everywhere, it's there's no origin kind of experience, you know. And how it comes is, why did I draw this reputation starting so high and coming up, and etc. Okay, why didn't I draw it directly? So the thing is that reputation grows through time and trust. That's I think that's clear. You need to gain trust. Once you don't have time, it's hard to say people will trust you immediately. Same with the companies. The new companies really would enjoy any trust because there is no experience, there is no time behind it. Building trust is the matter of time and actions. And that's where you gain the experience, the time. But how does it work? Why is it going up so high? And that was, again, my personal experience once. Once I had a call from a person I would barely know in a former company I worked in. It was in the Foreign Ministry of Kazakhstan. And he came up and said, okay, can you give me some let's say in dollars, that would be about, can you give me $1 I would pay for a taxi and give it back to you from ATM. I said, okay, no problem, here is $1. He went back, he took the money, returned me the $1. In 2 weeks, he came back to me again. He asked for $20, and it's, in Kazakhstan, it's kind of sensible money. Well, you can share it, no problem. And what did I do? Yeah. Why did I do this? Because there's been what? An experience of giving him money and getting it back. So where is the, we'll explain this basically. So where is the dollar? Somewhere here. 2 weeks. $20. Can you imagine any business that would grow in value 20 times just in 2 weeks? Through what? Through trust. And through him building up a reputation of reliable person. The story has a continuation. In 3 months, 2 o'clock in the morning, at night, I received a call from him. Again, as I said, I barely knew him. But, well, I lent him, he gave me back from his next salary. After 20 days, after a few days, he gave me back this $20. In 2-3 months, he calls me and says, okay, my dad is sick. I need to do an urgent operation to him on his heart. I've got to bring him to Germany. The cost is about $30,000. Can you lend me $10,000? Well, I'm a well-paid manager, but still, okay, $10,000, kind of 10,000 grand is a serious money for a manager. Well, what did I do? I said, okay, I can't give you $10,000, but I can give you, I mean, this is kind of situation where you always try to help, and I gave him $2,000. Where are $2,000? Again, that was about 2-3 months that passed from this experience. What happened later? He disappeared. Basically, he disappeared. I was, how do you say, I was cheated. Along with me, there were a couple of dozens of people who cheated him same night. 2 banks that he took the money. And when the investigation started, basically since right the beginning, and that was the late fall, but it turned out that at the beginning of the summers, 6 months before, he was playing in a casino, or casino, how do you say, and lost a lot of money. He wanted to raise the money, basically, and et cetera, whatever. He was a scoundrel. Let's call it straight. But what he did, if he would have asked me, barely me knowing him, for $2,000, would I give it to him? Of course. $1,000. $50? Definitely no. But ultimately, I gave him $2,000. I'm still grateful to him because due to this experience, basically, I've understood how the reputation and trust works. It works through time, it works through experience, and it costs money. That's where, that's a good lesson learned. That's probably I'm grateful to him. I would like to share, and I think this scoundrel scheme works in any culture, in any economy. The cash talks internationally. The cash talks business. Reading the book of Virgin founder Branson, at the moment of crisis in the early 2000s, I think he said that he went to the banks. He definitely needed a lot of cash. and all his economy was showing of his assets, well, there is big doubt about he would. The banks didn't want to give him money, but what he says, he said only one word. As long as if he's, what he says in his book, I never failed my word. I'll give you these money back. And the banks gave him all the cash, through which he took through the crisis and etc. The reputation is a monetary value. And the monetary value is something we really need to consider in our business. So the next question is how we build the reputation, how we do that, we will discuss in our lecture further on, but today for the sake of the idea and the diagram, which as an author, sorry for this kind of thing, I call as a Kuat's diagram, let's say. Kuat's reputation diagram, whatever how you call it, but I think that's the way it works. It works everywhere. Once you look at this, and that's where the companies and the organizations will start thinking, that's where you should build. I think what I wanted to say today is that, okay, here is what reputation is, here is what it makes different from the image, and here is how it works. Why it goes down a little bit here, because your money value is not growing indefinitely. There is always an end, but there is a thing that we will look through this scoundrel's case, is that the human nature maybe, or how the experience works, is that the trust is tending to grow quickly through experience. Again, if we conclude, the value of the person, of that guy, has grown up in 3 months, 10 times in a week, 100 times in the next 2 months. Is it a good business? Investing in your reputation? I think it definitely is. Do we currently invest in this business? Systematically, soberly, and understanding its value. I think this is idea something we should come up and develop. And I think that's the whole idea, maybe looking through this YouTube lecture. How the people, the management idea is still in development. As long as the company is going to get into crisis, there is no ideal organizational formula. Through this, maybe some kind of things, we can improve the management skills, we can improve the management structures. Talking about management structure, one thing I want to say is that is the production important for a company? Yes. Do we have a production director or VP? Yeah, we do. Personnel appointed? Yes. Do we have HR director? Yes. Finance and marketing, are they important? Selling your products? Yes. But this value, for many, and if the banks, insurance sectors, restaurants, whoever, they say it is important, do we have a reputation manager or someone, or the system, or a strategy, how you build up upon it? We will talk this further on in more detail. I'll try to explain how you can incorporate this into the systems. But for the matter of this YouTube lecture, I think this is it. At the end, maybe if we try to make my email address at the end, which is kuat.dombai, maybe I'll try to write it here, that people can write. God bless Google. taksekuatdombai@gmail.com. Welcome with your ideas, welcome with your feedback. Would be happy to answer and discuss with you. Interesting. Okay. Thank you, guys. This is it. Lovely.